Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Search without warning. Make a sudden surprise attack on. The police raided the crack house. A sudden short attack. Enter someone else's territory and take spoils. The pirates raided the coastal villages regularly. An attempt by speculators to defraud investors. Search for something needed or desired. Our babysitter raided our refrigerator. Take over a company by buying a controlling interest of its stock. T. Boone Pickens raided many large companies. An occasion for excessive eating or drinking. They went on a bust that lasted 3 days. Search without warning. Make a sudden surprise attack on. Separate or cause to separate abruptly. Go to pieces. Ruin completely. He busted my radio. Break open or apart suddenly and forcefully. The chest of a woman. Lacking funds. A complete failure. A sculpture of the head and shoulders of a person. A sudden short attack. Steal goods. Take as spoils. An initial attempt, especially outside your usual areas of competence. Scientists' forays into politics. Briefly enter enemy territory. A sudden short attack. Raid and rove in search of booty. Marauding rebels overran the countryside. Enter someone else's territory and take spoils. Attack in speech or writing. Launch an attack or assault on. Begin hostilities or start warfare with. Serbian forces assailed Bosnian towns all week. Attack someone physically or emotionally. Nightmares assailed him regularly. Ideas or actions intended to deal with a problem or situation. An attack on inflation. Attack in speech or writing. The editors of the left-leaning paper attacked the new House Speaker. Military, an offensive against an enemy, using weapons. The attack began at dawn. Take the initiative and go on the offensive. The Serbs attacked the village at night. A decisive manner of beginning a musical tone or phrase. Intense adverse criticism. The government has come under attack. Launch an attack or assault on. Begin hostilities or start warfare with. Hitler attacked Poland on September 1, 1939 and started World War II. Attack someone physically or emotionally. The act of attacking. Attacks on women increased last year. An offensive move in a sport or game. They won the game with a 10-hit attack in the 9th inning. A sudden occurrence of an uncontrollable condition. An attack of diarrhea. Begin to injure. The cancer cells are attacking his liver. Set to work upon. Turn one's energies vigorously to a task. I attacked the problem as soon as I got out of bed. Strong criticism. He published an unexpected attack on my work. The onset of a corrosive or destructive process, as by a chemical agent. The film was sensitive to attack by acids. Clear or deep perception of a situation. An attack that penetrates into enemy territory. The ability to make way into or through something. The greater penetration of the new projectiles will result in greater injuries. The act, by a man, of inserting his penis into the vagina of a woman. The act of entering into or through something. The penetration of upper management by women. The depth to which something penetrates, especially the depth reached by a projectile that hits a target. An attack that penetrates into enemy territory. The act of entering some territory or domain, often in large numbers. The incursion of television into the American living room. The mistake of incurring liability or blame. To intrude upon, infringe, encroach on, violate. The neighbors intrude on your privacy. To intrude upon, infringe, encroach on, violate. To intrude upon, infringe, encroach on, violate. This new colleague invades my territory. March aggressively into another's territory by military force for the purposes of conquest and occupation. Hitler invaded Poland on September 1, 1939. Occupy in large numbers or live on a host. Penetrate or assault, in a harmful or injurious way. The cancer had invaded her lungs. To intrude upon, infringe, encroach on, violate. The fraudulent appropriation of funds or property entrusted to your care but actually owned by someone else. The fraudulent appropriation of funds or property entrusted to your care but actually owned by someone else. Wrong use or application. The fraudulent appropriation of funds or property entrusted to your care but actually owned by someone else. Wrongful borrowing. His explanation was a misappropriation of sociological theory. The fraudulent appropriation of funds or property entrusted to your care but actually owned by someone else. The sum of money that is misappropriated. The fraudulent appropriation of funds or property entrusted to your care but actually owned by someone else. Inquire into. The students had to research the history of the Second World War for their history project. An operation that determines whether one or more of a set of items has a specified property. The activity of looking thoroughly in order to find something or someone. Search or seek. Try to locate or discover, or try to establish the existence of. The police are searching for clues. An investigation seeking answers. A thorough search of the ledgers revealed nothing. Boarding and inspecting a ship on the high seas. Right of search. Subject to a search. The police searched the suspect. The examination of alternative hypotheses. His search for a move that would avoid checkmate was unsuccessful. Make a pretense of. She assumed indifference, even though she was seething with anger. Put clothing on one's body. The queen assumed the stately robes. Take on as one's own the expenses or debts of another person. Seize and take control without authority and possibly with force, take as one's right or possession. He assumed to himself the right to fill all positions in the town. Take on a certain form, attribute, or aspect. She assumed strange manners. Take on titles, offices, duties, responsibilities. When will the new president assume office? occupy or take on. He assumes the lotus position. Take to be the case or to be true, except without verification or proof. I assume his train was late. Take up someone's soul into heaven. This is the day when Mary was assumed into heaven. Make undue claims to having. Seize and take control without authority and possibly with force. Take as one's right or possession. Demand as being one's due or property. Assert one's right or title to. Take possession of by force, as after an invasion. The invaders seized the land and property of the inhabitants. Take temporary possession of as a security, by legal authority. The FBI seized the drugs. Take hold of, grab. The sales clerk quickly seized the money on the counter. Seize and take control without authority and possibly with force. Take as one's right or possession. She seized control of the throne after her husband died. Effect. Fear seized the prisoners. Capture the attention or imagination of. The movie seized my imagination. Hook by a pull on the line. Take or capture by force. The terrorists seized the politicians. Take up, as of debts or payments. Free someone temporarily from his or her obligations. Take over ownership of corporations and companies. Do over. Take up and practice as one's own. Take on as one's own the expenses or debts of another person. Seize and take control without authority and possibly with force. Take as one's right or possession. Take on titles, offices, duties, responsibilities. Seize and take control without authority and possibly with force. Take as one's right or possession. He usurped my rights. Take the place of. Gloom had usurped mirth at the party after the news of the terrorist act broke. Music, rapid sliding up or down the musical scale. The violinist was indulgent with his swoops and slides. Seize or catch with a swooping motion. Move down on as if in an attack. The raptor swooped down on its prey. A swift descent through the air. A very rapid raid. Move with a sweep, or in a swooping arc. An attack by armed planes on a surface target. An attack by armed planes on a surface target.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.